Okay, so take a moment and just look around you. Think about the shops you walk past, maybe the apps you're scrolling
Or
through.
even just grabbing a snack later.
Yeah, exactly. All of that stuff, every single product, every service you use, it's all driven by something huge.
It really is the engine of the world we live in. We call it business activity.
Business activity. It sounds kind of formal, but it's literally everywhere, isn't it?
Absolutely. It underpins, well, almost everything. The things we buy, the services we rely on, jobs, communities.
And look, if you're the kind of person who wonders how it all actually works, how does that shop keep its doors open? Why do some businesses boom while others, well, don't?
Or even just what goes into making that phone in your hand.
Then this deep dive is definitely for you. We're aiming this squarely at anyone curious about the basics, maybe thinking about studying business.
Yeah, we're going to unpack the absolute core ideas from the very beginning of the Edexcel IGCSE business course. That's Unit 1, Business Activity and Influences on Business.
Right. Our mission today is pretty straightforward. Give you a taste of the key topics in this first unit, show you what you'd be exploring, and maybe convince you why it's so valuable to understand.
It really gives you a different way of seeing the world around you.
So let's jump in. Business activity.
Yeah.
What is it, fundamentally?
Well, at its very heart, it's about businesses creating and providing things that people either need or want.
Things. Like actual stuff.
Yes, those things generally fall into two big buckets: goods and services.
Okay, goods seem pretty simple. That's physical stuff, right?
Exactly. Tangible items, things you can physically touch and hold, like your phone, the clothes you're wearing right now, a bag of crisps, a car.
Things businesses make or grow or just sell on.
Precisely.
And services, then. They're different.
Yeah, services are intangible. You can't really hold a service. They're actions or activities that people or businesses perform for you.
Like getting a haircut.
Perfect example.
Mm.
Or banking services, taking the bus, going to the cinema, even education itself. These are all services.
Got it. Goods you can touch, services or things done for you. So, okay, businesses provide these. But how? They need stuff to do it, surely.
They absolutely do. They can't just magic these goods and services out of thin air. They need resources. And the course introduces these essential resources using a specific term.
Let me guess. Factors of production.
You got it. Factors of production. Sounds a bit technical, maybe, but it's just a way of grouping the essential ingredients.
Like a recipe for business.
Kind of, yeah. Think of them as the 4 key things every business needs. First up is land.
Okay, land. So the ground the shop is on.
Well, yes, but it's broader than that. It means all natural resources.
Right.
So, yeah, the physical site, but also things like raw materials from the earth, oil, water, timber, metals, even farmland.
Right, natural resources. Okay, what's next?
Labor. This is the human element, the effort, skills, and time people put into the business.
So everyone who works there, bakers, drivers, coders, managers.
Exactly. All the human work needed to produce the good or service.
Makes sense. Land, labor.
Yeah.
What else? You need equipment, money.
And that's the third one, capital. Now, this isn't just money, although money is often needed to get the capital. Capital refers to the man-made resources used in production.
So, like machinery, tools, buildings.
Yes, all of those. Computers, vans, factory buildings, software, the oven in a bakery, the cash register, that's all capital.
Okay, land, labor, capital.
Oh.
That it? Feels like something's missing.
Yeah.
The person who starts it all.
Yes. The crucial fourth factor, enterprise. This is a bit different. It's the skill, the initiative, and crucially, the risk-taking involved in bringing the other 3 factors together.
The entrepreneur.
Exactly. The person or people who have the initial idea, who organize the land, labor, and capital, and who take the financial risk, hoping it all works out, they're the driving force.
So to recap, business activity is using land, labor, capital, and enterprise.
To produce goods and services. That's the basic mechanism.
Okay, that clicks. But let's zoom out a bit. Why? Why do businesses exist in the first place? What's the fundamental point of all this activity?
Great question. It really boils down to satisfying human needs and wants.
Needs and wants, aren't they kind of the same?
Not quite, though they overlap. Needs are the absolute essentials for survival. Things like, basic food, clean water, shelter, essential clothing. You can't live without them.
Right, the basics. So wants are everything else.
Pretty much. Wants are our desires that go beyond survival. They're things that make life more comfortable, enjoyable, or maybe give us status. Think a bigger TV, a holiday, the latest phone, fancy coffee.
And the thing about wants is
Yeah.
They're endless, right? We always want more or better stuff.
Exactly. Human wants are virtually unlimited, but here's the fundamental problem.
Let me guess. We can't have everything we want.
Precisely, we run into the problem of scarcity.
Scarcity, I've heard that one.
It's a core concept. We have these unlimited wants, but the resources available to satisfy them, the land, labor, capital, and enterprise, are limited, finite. There just isn't enough to go around to give everyone everything they desire. Ah, okay. So limited resources versus unlimited wants. That's the basic economic problem.
It absolutely is, and this is where businesses play such a crucial role. They try to use those scarce resources as efficiently as possible to produce the goods and services that satisfy as many of our needs and wants as they can.
And for most of them, the main reason they do this is to make money.
For businesses in what we call the private sector, so those owned by private individuals or groups, not the government,
Yeah.
the primary aim is usually to make a profit.
Profit. We hear that word constantly. Break it down simply for us.
Sure. Profit is basically what's left over. It's the difference between the total amount of money a business earns from selling its goods or services, that's its revenue, and the total costs involved in producing them.
So money in minus money out.
In simple terms, yes. Revenue minus costs equals profit. And making that profit is vital for most private businesses. It's how they survive, how they can invest in growth, develop new products, and reward the owners for their risk. Okay, so satisfying needs and wants, dealing with scarcity, using factors of production, aiming for profit. That covers a lot. But you said most private businesses aim for profit. Does that mean some don't? Or have other aims too?
That's a really important point, and it brings us neatly onto the different types of businesses and organizations you'll study, because no, not everything that looks like a business is solely focused on maximizing profit.
Interesting. So what are the main types we should know about?
Well, first, you've got the private sector businesses we've mostly been talking about, owned by individuals, partners, shareholders. Think local shops, big companies like, say, Samsung or a local plumber. Their main goal, usually, it's profit.
Okay, the standard business most people think of. What else?
Then you have social enterprises. These are fascinating. They operate like businesses. They trade, sell goods or services, aim to make money, but they also have core social or environmental objectives.
So like doing good and making money.
Exactly. Their mission is blended. Think of maybe a cafe that reinvests all its profits into training homeless people, or a company that makes clothes from recycled ocean plastic. They want to be financially sustainable, maybe even profitable, but their main purpose might be tackling a social problem or helping the environment. Success isn't just about the bottom line.
Right, profit with a purpose. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, private sector, social enterprise. What about things like hospitals or schools? They provide vital services.
Absolutely. And they generally fall into the public sector. These are organizations owned and controlled by the government, either central government or local authorities.
And they're not trying to make a profit out of us.
No, typically not. Public sector organizations are usually funded through taxes, and their main aim is to provide essential services to the public and improve society's well-being. Think of state schools, the National Health Service, police forces, public libraries, refuse collection.
Their goal is service delivery, not financial return.
Precisely. Success for them is measured differently, maybe by patient recovery rates or exam results or crime reduction, rather than profit margins.
Wow. Okay, so when we talk about business activity, it's actually a whole spectrum. Private profit seekers, social enterprises with mixed goals, and public bodies serving the community.
Exactly. Understanding these differences is key because their aims shape everything they do. Now think about any of these private, social, or public. Who actually cares how they operate? Who has an interest in what they do?
Well, the owners, obviously.
Definitely. But who else? This brings us to the idea of stakeholders.
Stakeholders. Okay, what does that mean?
A stakeholder is basically any individual or group who has an interest or a stake in the activities and performance of a business or organization. They can affect the business or be affected by it.
So like you said, the owners or shareholders are stakeholders. They want profit, growth.
Yep. But who else? Who buys this stuff?
Customers. They're stakeholders too. They want good quality, fair prices, good service.
Absolutely crucial stakeholders. What about the people working inside the business?
The employees, of course. They care about their pay, working conditions, job security.
Definitely. And closely related, the managers who run the place day to day. They have employee concerns, but also care about business performance for their own careers.
Okay, owners, customers, employees, managers. Who else has a stake?
Ah,
Maybe people who lend the business money.
good one. Financiers like banks or other lenders. They're stakeholders because they want their loans repaid with interest. They care about the business being financially healthy.
What about the businesses that sell to this business, like delivering ingredients to the bakery?
Yes, the suppliers. They're stakeholders too. They want regular orders and, importantly, to be paid on time.
Okay, thinking wider now. Does the local area care?
Very much so. The local community is a major stakeholder. They care about jobs the business might create, but also about potential negative impacts like noise, pollution, traffic. They want the business to be a good corporate citizen.
And finally,
Uh,
I guess the government.
The government is definitely a stakeholder. They're interested in businesses paying taxes, obeying laws like employment laws, environmental regulations, creating jobs, and contributing to the overall economy.
That's quite a list. Owners, customers, employees, managers, financiers, suppliers, community, government.
It is. And the really interesting thing, which you get into in the course, is that what these different stakeholders want isn't always the same. In fact, their interests often conflict.
Oh, how's
So think about it. Owners might want to maximize profit by keeping wages low, but employees want higher wages. That's a direct conflict.
Right.
Or a business might want to build a big new factory. Good for owners, more profit, maybe good for employees, more jobs. But the local community might hate the extra traffic and noise.
I see. So businesses constantly have to juggle these different, sometimes competing demands.
It's a real balancing act. Managing stakeholder relationships is a huge part of running any organization successfully.
Okay, this is building a really complex picture. Businesses aren't simple things operating in isolation. And you mentioned government regulations.
Yeah.
That leads to the idea that they're affected by the outside world, right?
Exactly. Which brings us to the final key area of this introductory unit, the influences on business, sometimes called the external environment.
Meaning, stuff happening outside the business that affects it.
Precisely. No business exists in a bubble. They are constantly being influenced, shaped, sometimes knocked about by forces they often can't directly control.
Like what kind of forces? You mentioned government.
Yeah, government actions are a big one. New laws on anything from minimum wage to environmental protection, changes in tax rates, decisions about trade, these all have a direct impact.
Okay, what else? The economy.
The state of the economy is massive. Is the economy booming or is it in recession? Are interest rates high or low? Is inflation going up? Are people generally employed or unemployed? All these economic factors affect customer spending, business costs, and investment decisions.
Makes sense. What about just people's attitudes, trends?
Yes, social influences are huge and always changing. Think about shifting demographics like an aging population in some countries, or changing lifestyles, the trend towards healthier eating, or concerns about ethical sourcing. Businesses have to respond to what society values and how people live.
And technology. That must be enormous now.
Oh, technology is transforming everything. The internet, e-commerce, social media, automation, artificial intelligence. Businesses have to adopt new tech to stay efficient, reach customers, or even survive. Falling behind technologically can be fatal.
Okay, government, economy, society, technology, any other big ones, big global things.
Definitely. Broadly, you could call them environmental factors, like climate change impacting resources or regulations, or international or world events. Think about how a global pandemic completely changed how many businesses operated, or how international conflicts can disrupt supply chains or oil prices. Natural disasters. Businesses need to be aware of and, where possible, prepared for these external shocks.
Wow. So it's not just about making a product or delivering a service. It's about doing that while constantly scanning the horizon, reacting to government policy, economic shifts, social trends, tech changes, and global events.
That's exactly it. Understanding these external influences is vital for making good business decisions, managing risks, and spotting opportunities. And this first unit really lays the groundwork for analyzing all of that.
So bringing it all together, this first unit of the IGCSE course sounds like it gives you the real building blocks.
It absolutely does. You learn the essential vocabulary: goods, services, factors of production, profit, stakeholders. You understand why businesses exist: needs, wants, scarcity. You see the different types of organizations and their aims: private, public, social, enterprise. You appreciate who cares about them, the stakeholders. And you start to see how the outside world, those external influences, shapes everything they do.
It's like getting a pair of special glasses, isn't it? Suddenly you can see the underlying structures and forces behind the everyday world of shops, products, jobs.
That's a great way to put it. It helps you make sense of the news, understand why companies make certain decisions, why prices go up or down, why adverts focus on certain things. It connects to so much.
And if listening to this quick tour, thinking about business activity, needs and wants, the different types of businesses, who stakeholders are, how the world influences them, if that sparked something in you,
If you're thinking, yeah, I'd like to understand that better, maybe see how it all fits together.
then honestly, checking out the Edexcel IGCSE business course could be a really great move. It takes all these foundational ideas we've just skimmed over and explores them properly, giving you that solid understanding.
It really is a worthwhile subject for understanding the modern world, regardless of what career you eventually go into.
Definitely. So here's a little thought to leave you with. Think about your favorite local cafe, or maybe a shop you use often, or even an online service you rely on. Based on our chat just now, what type of business do you think it is? Is it private sector, public, maybe a social enterprise? What's likely its main aim? And just try and name 2 or 3 different groups who you think are its stakeholders. Who cares how well it does?
Just having that little think might show you you're already starting to see the business world with new eyes.